actually a really great example of how to develop characters who are reacting to the same situation in completely different ways. Hey, welcome back to On Writing. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I'm a professional writer and writing coach. And today we're looking at what we can learn about writing from Taylor Swift's song Evermore, which is off the Folklore album, I think. I'm just kidding. The writing in this song is credited to Taylor Swift, William Bowery, wink, and Justin Vernon. I've never heard it before, as per usual, but I felt like it would have some good fall vibes, especially for November. If you want the extended version of this video, you can join us on Patreon. Let's take a look.
Gray November, I've been down since July.
I'm sorry, there's birds chirping in this song? I already love it. I like the feeling of this song. It makes me feel like I'm in a cozy cabin in the woods when it's really cold outside, but for some reason there are birds chirping, which doesn't make sense, but it's fine. It's fine. We're surrounded by trees. The birds are still there even though it's freezing out, whatever. Okay, Gray November. Here we are in November listening to a November song. Gray November, I've been down since July. So my first thought of that was I've been down, like down here since July, like I've been where I am since July, but also I've been sad since July, especially because it's gray November. Gray is just a sad little color, at least to me, especially when the sky is gray. Ugh, depressing. So I've been down since July. It's been going on for months.
Motion capture put me in a bad light.
Motion capture put me in a bad light. Motion capture put me in a bad light. Motion capture. Something this person did was caught on camera maybe, and it put her in a bad light, which just means it showed her not at her best. It made her seem worse than maybe she is. It highlighted her flaws. Maybe that happened in July and that's why she's been down since then.
I replay my footsteps on each stepping stone.
I replay my footsteps on each stepping stone, trying to find the one where I went wrong. So the word replay has the connotation of a video too, so that ties back to motion capture for me, in that she's replaying this memory in her head, maybe whatever was captured, and maybe it wasn't a real, like, someone caught her doing something on video. Maybe it's just a way of referring to her thoughts, her memories, but either way, something she's remembering that put her in a bad light, she's replaying it in her head, and part of it is footsteps on each stepping stone, trying to find the one where I went wrong. So she's going back through these memories that put her in a bad light and trying to think, like, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? What happened? How did I contribute to this?
Writing letters addressed to the fire.
Writing letters addressed to the fire. Ooh. So maybe she's sort of writing down her memories and being like, did I do this? Was this where it went wrong? Was that where it went wrong? Or maybe she's writing letters to somebody that she wronged or they think she wronged, but she's not going to send them. She's going to burn them. They're addressed to the fire, so she's sending them right into the fireplace, maybe? Or she's writing letters addressed to the fire, could be metaphorical in that whatever she's trying to communicate, it's like addressed to this fire, this conflict, this burning situation in her life. I don't know, that's cool. I'll have to keep listening and see how that ties in.
Catching my breath, staring out an open window, catching my death.
And I was catching my breath, staring out an open window, catching my death. Huh, that's cool. That's a fun play on some opposites. We have sort of a scene coming to mind. She's obviously somewhere where it's gray and cold. It's November. There's a fire, maybe, in the fireplace. And she's catching her breath, staring out an open window. So I'm picturing a window being open, obviously. And she's both getting the fresh air, but she's also catching her death. And the phrase catching your death or catching my death, it's an old phrase that means you're going to get sick with the common cold. You're going to catch your death. It's like an exaggeration of, oh, I'm going to get sick. But back then, back in the old days, getting sick with the flu or the cold, like that could have been pretty serious. So she's both catching her breath. It's bringing something life-giving to her, but it's also, she's catching her death. So it might also make her sick.
I couldn't be sure. I had a feeling so peculiar.
I like I couldn't be sure. I had a feeling so peculiar. Okay, I mean, to me, just personally, I don't like it when you have to stretch a word out to fit the kind of syllables or the melody in a song. But I do like the rhyming of peculiar with be sure, because it's not, I think I just like it. That's it. I don't need a reason. I just like it.
That this pain would be for evermore.
Couldn't be sure. I had a feeling so peculiar that this pain would be forevermore. Oh, that's so sad. Didn't y'all tell me that Emily Dickinson wrote a letter to her love interest and signed it Forevermore? That's what this is reminding me of. Anyway, I just wonder. But this narrator is in pain, lots of pain, a pain that has lasted since July, or started in July. Let's just break that down a little bit. Her feeling is peculiar, and I couldn't be sure. So it's almost like I couldn't be sure this pain would be forevermore, but I had a feeling so peculiar that this pain would be forevermore. It's both. I'm not sure if it's gonna last forever, but I have a feeling it's gonna last forever.
Hey December, guess I'm feeling unmoored.
Hey December, oh, it's been another month now. If you're feeling unmoored, you're feeling unrooted or not anchored. Mooring is like you've attached your boat to the dock. So if a boat is unmoored, it means it's not attached to the dock. It's not secured. So that's how she's feeling, that's not great.
Can't remember what I used to fight for.
And then she says, I can't remember what I used to fight for. So we're getting more insight into this character's mental state. I'm picking up depression. I'm just gonna say she sounds a little bit depressed.
Rewind the tape, but all it does is pause.
She rewinds the tape, but all it does is pause. So that plays back into the lines we had earlier where she replays her footsteps, motion capture, these video technology types of words where it's replaying and replaying. She's replaying, but all it does is pause on the very moment all was lost. So she's going back to that moment over and over again.
Sending signals to be double crossed.
Why are these songs from these albums so tumultuous? There's so much double crossing and betrayal and man, alive. Okay. Sending signals to be double crossed. That's a fun play on how you can cross your signals. You can get your signals crossed, but it's also double crossed. Come on. That's clever. Okay. So if you're getting your signals crossed, it means you're not getting the right message. You're not understanding what's being told to you. But being double crossed is being betrayed. So interesting double meaning there. And then I have to kind of tie it to the previous line. So I rewind the tape, but all it does is pause on the very moment all was lost. Is there a comma there? We need a comma there. Sending signals to be double crossed. So the tape is sending her signals to be double crossed. It makes me think that the moment, because it keeps pausing, metaphorically, on this moment, that's giving her signals that are either making her feel betrayed or it's getting everything all mixed up in her brain. And that kind of ties back to, I couldn't be sure, but I had this feeling. I replay my footsteps trying to find the one where I went wrong. Like there's a lack of clarity in her thoughts here and in her reflections. So that's not great. That's not a fun place to be.
Barefoot in the wildest winter, catching my death.
The only line that's different there is barefoot in the wildest winter, which is a hyperbole. The wildest winter. What does that mean? What does that even mean? Is it really the wildest winter? No. But it's exaggeration to prove a point, to evoke some kind of feeling. So this winter is horrible. It's wild. It's crazy. It's probably throwing a lot at her, but she's barefoot, which is the last thing you want to be when it's winter, because you will catch your death. You will get sick. You will be cold, and you will catch your death. So it's not good.
Cannot think of the cost. It will be lost.
Bringing in a new voice here makes me think that this is the other person's point of view. Cannot think of all the cost and all the things that will be lost.
Can we just get a pause? To be certain we'll be tall again.
Can we just get a pause to be certain we'll be tall again? Are they trees? Why is that the first thing that came to my mind? Barefoot in the wildest winter, maybe their roots are exposed. I don't know. It's interesting that this character says, can we just get a pause? When the other character says, I rewind the tape, but all it does is pause. The first character's fixated on this one moment. They're fixated in their mind. And then this next character, their mind is racing. They can't get it to stop. What do you guys think? Let me know. To be certain we'll be tall again? That's interesting. I mean, apart from the conspiracy theory that they could be trees. When you're standing tall, you're confident, you feel good, things are positive usually. If you're depressed and down, then you wouldn't be standing tall. So that's what that makes me think of.
Weather be the frost, all the violence of the dog days.
I like the weather be the frost. That's kind of funny. So weather, W-H-E-T-H-E-R, and weather, W-E-A-T-H-E-R, those are homophones, which are basically words that sound the same, homophone, same sound, but they're spelled differently and have different meanings. So it's kind of fun to see that being played with here. Weather be the frost, or the violence of the dog days, referring to summer. You might have heard that phrase, the dog days of summer. So let's say you're reading this and you don't know that dog days could refer to summer. How do you figure that out then? Let's say you can't Google it. Weather be the frost, or. So that or is going to tell you that whatever comes in the next line is going to be the opposite or something completely different from what was in the line before it. So whether the weather is frost or whether the weather is not frost. So what's the opposite of winter? Summer. So that's kind of how you can figure that out. Let's just say you're reading a poem out in the park without your phone and you don't know what it means. You can kind of look at the words around it and piece it together if you're not sure. Maybe you'll be wrong, but maybe you'll be right.
Waves are being tossed. Is there a line that I could just go cross?
I'm on waves out being tossed. Is there a line that I could just go cross? There's a lot of movement in those words. Violence, waves, tossed, cross, shipwrecked. So it gets me again thinking that this person just wants a pause. Can we just get a pause? I'm being tossed around, this is feeling violent. Whereas this person is like, I have control over rewinding the tape and going back, but it keeps pausing. So that's an interesting little difference there. Okay.
And it was real enough to get me through.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, guys, it's kind of weird. I don't know if I like this mashup, but okay. I'm sorry, don't come at me. I feel like their voices and their style with her voice and her style, I don't know if it blends well to me, but anyway, that's music. That's not about the writing. So this reminds me of those novels where you get one person's point of view in one chapter and another person's point of view in another chapter, and it alternates until eventually at the end you get both of them together. I'm rereading the Lunar Chronicles right now, and it kind of shifts perspective like that. And then some chapters, all the characters are together, and I always get a kick out of that. So anyway, they come together now. So we've had character number one's input and point of view, character number two's input and point of view, and now we're mashing them together. And Taylor is singing new lines, but Bon Iver is singing lines that they've already sung, which I think is interesting because their character so far has been going around and around and around and being tossed, and they just want to pause. And even here we get that because they're repeating the same lines over and over and over. But Taylor is more like fixated, and these lines are much shorter and much more controlled. I thought of you. In the cracks of light, I dreamed of you. There's a lot more certainty. It was real enough to get me through, like all very short phrases. And that just makes me think like she is able to pause. And the other character's not. Can't think of all the costs, all the things that will be lost now. Can we just get a pause to be certain we'll be tall again if you think of all the costs? I mean, their lines are way longer. They feel much more out of control. So that's kind of interesting. And then maybe the chaos that I'm feeling that comes from this section is purposeful because it feels very like chaotic to me. Let me listen to it again.
To get me through.
Yeah, even the singing over one another is quite chaotic. So maybe that's just giving us a representation of the chaos of this situation. I could get behind it if that's the reason.
And I was catching my breath.
Ooh, now they're singing the same thing together.
Doors of a cabin creaking under my step.
Wait, I think they are. This is a great example of how repetition can really work within a poem or a song if you're writing songs. So we had character number one's point of view, character number two's point of view, then both of them singing at the same time but not together and not singing the same things, and then both of them singing together, singing the same things. And that's really cool because it shows you sort of where their characters are at. And they're both coming to the same conclusion, literally, and figuratively in this story, where we literally don't know what happened at all, but we know there's been a lot of pain. There's a lot of mental gymnastics going on. Oh, and then catching my breath, floors of a cabin creaking under my step makes me think that there's more pacing going on. There's always pacing.
This pain wouldn't be for evermore.
now both of them have arrived at the place where they couldn't be sure, they had a feeling so peculiar this pain wouldn't be forevermore. So now they have a peculiar feeling that the pain won't last forever, and or they can't be sure that it's not going to last forever, but they have a feeling it might not last forever. So that's a contrast from the line before where it said this pain would be forevermore. So that's where repetition is really powerful, because we hear the same lines again and we go, oh, okay, I already know what they're going to say, but then they change a line and that makes us hear it in a whole different way. Okay. This is actually a really great example of how to develop characters who are reacting to the same situation in completely different ways. All right, so you have the character that Taylor sings who is fixated on this one moment where everything went wrong. She's like overthinking it and trying to analyze every little detail of it, but she keeps getting stuck on the one moment where it all fell apart. And then you have Bon Iver's character who is in a much more tumultuous place, and it's like, my mind is racing. I just want to find a pause. I don't know what went wrong. So again, word choice is going to be how you show your character's different states, and then their actions as well, and how they view things. Bon Iver's character thinks of it like a shipwreck. So that kind of gives us a sense of where they're at with that. So as you're writing characters, keep in mind that you don't want them all to react to the events of your story in the same way. Maybe one of them is not sad. Maybe one of them is more angry. Maybe one of them retreats internally. Maybe one of them expresses their pain outwardly. You want to think about who your characters are and what's most realistic for them and the way that they would react. So that's our little writing tip from Evermore today. That is not what I was expecting that song to be like for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking. I like the beginning of it really quite a lot. I could listen to a whole song based kind of in that style. Thanks for suggesting it. It was a good song for fall. Gave me all the fall feels. Thanks so much for watching. It was great to talk about writing with you today. I will see you next time. Take care.